So I'm still on this long mission to go through the accomplishments and the achievements of many Democratic figures, governors, senators, congresspeople, presidents, state representatives, all that stuff. And what I've decided to do was instead of taking, so if you have somebody, let's say, was a state representative, a state senator, congressperson, and governor, instead of putting all of those into one video, I've decided to separate it. So I did one video talking about Harris's accomplishments as district attorney. The reason I decided to do that is because I know that many people's attention spans isn't really that long. People have short attention spans, and it's unimpressive to say the least. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do it piece by piece. Now, I think Whitmer has good accomplishments as state senator and state representative, as well as governor. And at first, I thought she would have made a good presidential candidate, but we lost with two women, so I think the country's trying to tell us something, but they don't have the balls or the spine to just say we don't want a woman. That's why they come up with a bunch of ridiculous criticisms. But Gretchen Whitmer also has another controversy going on, which I'll cover in another video. But nevertheless, I'm not going to pretend that she didn't do anything good during her time as an official. So, let me start with state representative and state senator for Whitmer. Now, she was a state senator, I'm sorry, state representative from 2000 to 2006. Now, during that time, she focused on key issues such as healthcare, education, workers' rights, and wages. While specific details on the bills that she sponsored or co-sponsored during this period are limited, her legislative priorities and committee roles provide insight into her contributions. Now, on healthcare, she campaigned on healthcare reform and environmental protections. In 2003, she introduced legislation to raise taxes on alcohol to fund improved fire protection, a proposal that garnered attention and support from then Governor Jennifer Granholm, who was our Democratic governor from 2002 to 2010. This initiative reflects her approach by leveraging fiscal policy for public health and safety enhancements. Now, on education, she was a central theme. Education was a central theme in Whitmer's early political career. Although specific bills from her time in the House are not detailed in the available sources, her campaign emphasized education reform, indicating a commitment to improving Michigan's educational system. Go down a little bit. So, wages and workers' rights. So again, her state representative stuff, a lot of the stuff isn't, I don't have the detail of that, but as vice chair of the Michigan House Appropriations Committee, Whitmer played a significant role in budgetary decisions impacting workers. While the exact legislation she supported is not specified, her leadership position suggests active involvement in shaping policies related to wages and labor rights. Unions. Then I'll get to the state senator part because I think there's better detail there. So her background includes experience as policy analyst and intern with the AFL-CIO, indicating early exposure to labor union dynamics. Although specific union-related legislation from her time as a state representative are not detailed, her subsequent political career demonstrates a consistent advocacy for labor rights and union support. Okay, now, let me get to the state senator stuff because there's definitely a little bit more here. So she was a state senator from 2006 to 2014. Now, here's what she did regarding healthcare. So one was Medicaid expansion, 2013. Whitmer was a key supporter of expanding Medicaid under the Affordable Care Act. She helped lead Senate Democrats in negotiating and passing the Healthy Michigan Plan, which expanded coverage to almost 700,000 Michigan citizens. Advocate for reproductive rights. She consistently opposed Republican-led efforts to restrict abortion access, including rape insurance legislation, which required women to purchase separate insurance riders for abortion coverage. Her passionate and personal floor speech opposing this gained national attention. As a matter of fact, I actually did watch that years ago, and she talked about her own horrific and unfortunate personal experience with sexual assault. I remember seeing that actually in early 2017 when she first announced her first candidacy for Michigan governor. Okay, whoever is out there screaming out there, keep it down. Mental health. She backed efforts to improve mental health services, supporting support funding for behavioral health, and integrate mental health into broader healthcare programs. Education. She fought against K through 12 and higher education cuts. During the Rick Snyder administration, the Republican governor from 2010 to 2018, she led the opposition to deep budget cuts to public schools and universities. She pushed for equitable funding and more investment in early childhood education. She supported increased access for pre-K, advocated for early childhood education expansion, particularly the Great Start Readiness Program, which provides free preschool to at-risk 4-year-olds. Workers and wages, minimum wage advocacy. While Republicans controlled the legislature, Whitmer introduced and co-sponsored legislation to increase Michigan's minimum wage and adjust it for inflation. While these efforts were blocked, she laid groundwork for future wage campaigns. Opposed right to work. She strongly opposed Michigan's right to work law, which weakened unions by making union dues optional. She led Senate Democrats in a forceful resistance campaign and delivered fiery speeches defending collective bargaining rights. Now, again, I talked about this in another video. Collective bargaining, aka sectoral bargaining, is when the unions get to negotiate with management and it sets benefits and wages for workers across an entire industry, which is exactly what Tim Walz did in Minnesota with the nursing home workers, and Gavin Newsom did that in California with the healthcare workers. I think there was another state that did that actually. I want to say it was either Illinois or Massachusetts, but I'm going to get to those in other videos. Unions and collective bargaining. She was a staunch defender of organized labor, consistently voting against legislation that sought to curb union power, including public sector union limitations and restrictions on collective bargaining. Support for public employees. She opposed efforts to slash pensions, increase health premiums, and weaken workplace protections for teachers, firefighters, and state workers. Now, here's some notable bills and legislation that she sponsored or co-sponsored. She co-sponsored SB 395, she co-sponsored this bill to restore Michigan Earned Income Tax Credit, aiding low-income working families. She opposed GOP-backed bills requiring women to purchase separate abortion coverage, using her platform to oppose rape insurance laws. She sponsored legislation to improve hospital transparency and patient safety standards. She introduced multiple amendments to restore funding for public schools, universities, and Medicaid services. Okay, so leadership and legislative impact. She often took the lead in crafting alternative Democratic budgets that protected workers, healthcare, and public education, even if they didn't pass in the GOP-controlled chamber. She used her leadership platform to build public awareness, galvanize opposition to regressive laws, and defend working-class Michiganders. Now, I want to say that I think that's it for that. So, here's the deal. So, I'm pretty much going to stop it at that right now. So, that's her time. I think that her tenure as a state senator is much more impressive than her tenure as a state representative, only because there's more detail there. So, if she runs for president, and I don't know how successful she'll be at that, because, again, I'm still on, you can't convince me otherwise. I really believe that Hillary and Kamala being women is their main downfall, because both of their campaigns were better than Biden's, and he ended up winning. So, by that time, are we finally going to say, hey, I guess we're okay with a woman, and then she might have a shot, maybe. But if she runs for president, and if we get to that point, she has to bring those things up. So my message to Whitmer and everybody who's around Whitmer and anybody who's a Whitmer supporter who wants her to run for president, tell her to bring those things up, and you have to bring those things up too. And talk to independent and undecided voters about this stuff, because people need to learn. I know that's pretty cheesy and cliche, but effort means everything. So I wanted to bring those up, and then my next video is going to talk about her accomplishments as governor of Michigan. So I got that coming up. If you're watching this on Facebook, subscribe to my YouTube. The link is in the comment section. Go to my About section. All the links to my other social media profiles are there. TikTok, Instagram, all of that. So that's all for now. Stay tuned.